high of 89. Monday, sunny, high of 89. I'm staff meteorologist John Weatherby. Money Radio 1510 and 99.3 FM.
75 degrees right now. Not so sunny today in the markets. The Dow is down 317 points now at 17,787. S&P 500 now off by 28 points at 2,076, and the NASDAQ down 87 at 4920. Reporting for Money Radio, I'm Ken Morgan.
The views expressed on the following program do not necessarily reflect the views of Money Radio staff, management, or advertisers, and do not represent an offer to buy or sell any securities. Some interviews heard on this program may be sponsored by the participants. It's time for Health Futures with Cypress HomeCare Solutions, Bob Roth. This is Arizona's only show dedicated to providing you with expert advice on how to live a longer, healthier, and happier life. To learn more, call 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Bob Roth.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. We're a weekly show found right here on Money Radio, 1510 AM, 99.3 FM. Coming at you live from the Scottsdale Air Park Studios. And we are celebrating a week where we've got through taxes. And yesterday, I want to make it very clear to our listening audience, because we talked about it last week. Yesterday was National Healthcare Decisions Day, and that is a day when we want people to realize the importance of having advance directives and having them in place so that they can memorialize their wishes on how they would like to see their end of life happen. And today I've got riding shotgun with me, my co-host, Paul Fredericks.
Bob, good to be here with you.
It's good to be here with you, too. Paul is our Vice President of Client Services at Cypress HomeCare Solutions. And if you're just tuning in right now, Cypress HomeCare Solutions is an employer-based home care agency in our 21st year where we have the opportunity to afford many of our aging adult population to be able to age successfully in place.
Absolutely, Bob. We do a great job. Our caregivers are wonderful people, and they're ready to go, ready to care for anyone that needs a little extra help in their home.
Well, that's what we do, and thank you for mentioning that. And really, you know, one of the things I wanted to share with our listening audience today is we've had the opportunity to have some great guests, and if you've missed some of our previous shows, you can catch them up on our website at cypresshomecare.com, and up on the very top is a radio button. You can click on that and catch every single one of our previous episodes. We've had probably close to 70. We've been on the air for 17 months.
It's amazing. And I guess we've had, what we did months ago is still as relevant then as it is today. So.
Exactly. And we had a guest last week, Dr. Hazelhorst, who's an ER physician. Right. And he wrote an incredible book called Wishes to Die For. And it kind of parallels with the holiday yesterday, which was, when I say holiday, the recognition of that day of National Advance Directives Day. So really what he's talking about is really how to, die with dignity.
Absolutely.
And that kind of segues into our guest today, Paul.
Amazing guest, Bob.
You can call me doctor.
I call you Dr. Bob here in a minute.
You want to call me doctor, that's fine, but there is a doctor in the house.
There is.
And I do want to take an opportunity to set the stage for our listening audience, because we have a doctor in the house today that is a client of ours and is a world-renowned person in the healthcare profession. And I would like to just kind of set the table, Paul, to really describe who this person is and really have a great conversation and a great interview with him. So without further ado, we have Dr. Avery Weisman here in the house. And I want to give some quick facts about who Dr. Avery Weisman is. He's a professor emeritus. Weisman. Thank you. Dr. Weisman. Professor Emeritus of Psychiatry, Harvard Medical School, senior psychiatrist, retired from Mass General Hospital, Boston. You worked there for 40 years until your retirement. In 1940, graduated University of Michigan, graduate of Harvard Medical School. You moved to
University of Michigan Medical School.
University of Michigan Medical School.
Yes.
I'm sorry, University of Michigan Medical
I
School.
taught at Harvard Medical, but...
There you go. Well, thank you for correcting me, Dr. Weisman. Born in December 1913. What's your birthday?
13th.
December 13th,
Yeah,
1913?
December 13, 1913.
And for our listening audience that may have trouble adding, that makes you 102 years old.
Almost
101
at the moment.
101. I think life insurance companies already call you 102. They probably have already put you there.
Yeah.
But you moved to Scottsdale in the 1990s. You rode your bike until you were 85 years old,
Right.
and you worked out at the JCC until you were 99 years old. And you're not only a client of mine, our company at Cypress HomeCare Solutions, you're a client at North Valley Home Watch Caregivers. Both are incredible home care companies that are employer-based home care agencies. And we've had the pleasure and honor to be able to serve you in a caregiving capacity. So one other fact I want to share with our listening audience is that you saw Babe Ruth play. You remember a parade when you were a little boy in which there were Civil War veterans during Memorial Day. Welcome to the show, Dr. Weisman.
Well, thank you very much, Bob.
It's really
Pleasure
good to have
being
you.
here.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And, really kind of segueing about National Healthcare Decisions Day. Mm-hmm. You had these conversations a long time ago. You started talking about this stuff back in the 1960s, 1970s. I've read a couple of the pieces that you've put out. You've written a number of books. I'd love for you to share with our listening audience the importance of memorializing your wishes and really, kind of segue, what Dr. Hazelhorst talked about dying with dignity and the importance of getting that done. Would you care to share that with our listening audience?
Yes. What would you like me to share first?
You know what? The mic is yours. So, I'd love for you to talk about the importance of memorializing your wishes.
Well, the important concept, I suppose, that would be considered more unique is an appropriate death consistent with your ideal for yourself and a death you'd be willing to ask for had you a choice. And so many people, myself included, would find it hard at the moment to say exactly what that appropriate death would be, but in general I define it as a death you might choose for yourself had you a choice. Mm. And if you struggle with that question, what would you choose? There are some factors that are easy, others that are hard. Let's take the hard part. It's the when of death. People would have had a misconception, say, about the hospice, that once you're into it, you're stuck. You can't withdraw yourself. And therefore, you're committed to die within 6 months, say, or 6 hours, depending. And I think we have to recognize that you could be dying of a number of life-threatening maladies, and still, when death comes, seemingly is not directly related to it. We tried to see how soon before death can it be predicted.
We're coming up on a break.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Weisman, we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to pick up on that conversation, because I know you got a lot more to add, especially about appropriate deaths.
Well,
You're just getting started.
Telling it the way it seems to me.
You got it. Well, you're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You, And we're going to take a break. We've got Dr. Avery Weisman in the house and in the studios, and I've got my co-host here, Paul Fredericks. We will be right back.
Hi, Joe Capitano here, Senior Vice President with Homeowners Financial Group. And I'm a human being, not a machine. Do you get embarrassed easily? I mean, if you were the only one who forgot to bring the gift to the holiday party, would that embarrass you? Well, what if you couldn't afford your dream home, your first home, your last home? What if your loan was denied? Now that would be embarrassing. Well, I don't want you to be embarrassed. That's why I listen to you, and I use my many years of experience to help you realize your dreams, help you find the loan and the financing you need. See, a machine, a computer, a website doesn't care if you're embarrassed. It takes a human being like me. Call me, Joe Capitano, 480-305-8545, 480-305-8545, or just go to joeloans.com. Bank number 090-6222, MLS number 9826, Equal Housing Lender. That's 480-305-8545 or joeloans.com.
What you don't know can possibly hurt your retirement. Social Security. Do you have a plan? Do you know how and when to start taking your benefits? Join certified financial planner, host of My Smart Retirement, and Money Radio contributor Nancy Fleming as she helps you uncover ways to maximize your Social Security benefits. Increase your retirement income and attend Nancy's informative Social Security workshop Tuesday, April 21st and Thursday, April 23rd at the Red Mountain Library. Attend this workshop and you'll discover little-known strategies that will enable you to use your benefits effectively. Nancy will discuss a wide variety of topics that relate to Social Security. Learn how Social Security benefits are calculated, how to coordinate spousal benefits, and much more. Don't miss out on substantial benefits and be sure to attend this informative workshop 6 p.m. Tuesday, April 21st and Thursday, April 23rd at the Red Mountain Library. Space is limited, so reserve your seat today. 480-632-8770. Plan well, retire well. 480-632-8770. Not affiliated or endorsed by Social Security Administration or any government agency.
Monopoly is back and bigger than ever at Albertsons. Look for participating products in store and get a game piece every time you shop. Shop, play, win. See store for details.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. My name is Bob Roth, and you're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. We're a weekly show found right here on Money Radio, 1510 AM, 99.3 FM, and I've got a co-host today, Paul Fredericks. Welcome.
Bob, always good to be here.
And we've got an incredible guest here in our studio. We got Dr. Avery Weisman.
Right.
And I got to tell you, it's an honor and a privilege because not only is he a client of ours and another really good home care company here in town, but he's got so much to offer in terms of his experience as a psychiatrist.
Right.
In Boston, Mass General, for over 40 years. And he's had the opportunity to be a professor over at Harvard Medical School.
And if anyone's missed the first segment, just know you can go to cypresshomecare.com and pick up this recording anytime, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because if you missed the first segment, you missed a lot.
I agree. You definitely missed a lot. It was a great introduction. You know, how many times do you get a chance to be with somebody that actually saw Babe Ruth play?
Exactly. You know.
And we're in the middle of baseball season, and I still have a lot of hope for the Diamondbacks. So you know, we don't have the Babe Ruths anymore, but we got the Goldschmidts of the world.
That's right.
So with that, I want to get back to talking to you, Dr. Weisman. I want to talk to you about we were talking about appropriate deaths, and I wanted you to just share that finishing thought you had because, you know, really, you know, you had said in one of the pieces that I read on the Omega interview, you talked about, you know, some deaths with much pain cannot be considered appropriate.
Yes.
Can you talk about, you know, a good death, if you would?
Well, even the term a good death, some people would think of as an oxymoron, a contradiction in terms. And I wouldn't argue with that, because if you look back into the 19th century, the Victorian period, death was kind of chic, as I understand it. And design, and black was a favorite color, and whatnot. And to have a good death wouldn't be necessarily what we choose today.
Right.
They said last night in a PBS show that about the Civil War that they had the concept of a good death, dying at home, surrounded by family, etc., etc.
Exactly.
And that's better than some deaths, unless you didn't like being home.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, even when a person died, they were often visited by family and friends, and the body was laid out in what we used to call the parlor, which is now turned into what we call the living room in our home. And but that phenomenon has absolutely changed in our culture, from black drapes and black wreaths to not even realizing when someone's grieving now, because we don't show it on our clothing.
And there was even an art to writing condolence letters in those days.
And just so you know, in the Jewish faith, they wear a black button with a ribbon, and they actually tear it today. And that's really, and that's only if you're an observant Jew,
right,
that you know that somebody's mourning somebody that they lost. Otherwise, I mean, you're right. In the old times, you knew by what they were wearing.
Right. Black clothes or a black band on their arm, something.
Exactly. I think this is a great segue. And I do want to talk about the conversation, and I'll bring that up in a bit, because that's something that I've espoused to and talked about here on our show. But I think it's a great segue to talk about hospice. And hospice is a relatively new thing, a new phenomena here in our country. And really what it's done is it's deinstitutionalized that whole dying experience, kind of going back to the 19th century, where we provide, more humane systems of care in the home for those that are dealing with a terminal diagnosis. And for those that don't know this, the first hospice program in the country was opened in New Haven, Connecticut, over at Yale University in 1972. And this model of care was brought by this one woman. Her name was by Dame Cicely Saunders. And it was at St. Christopher's Hospice in Great Britain that she learned this craft, if you would.
At Yale, it was Florence Wald.
Florence Wald.
She was a great lady in her own right. And she promoted the concept of hospice, care for the dying, or people for whom no recoveries.
And you being from Harvard and her from Yale, you don't hold that against her, do you?
I knew a lot of people in those days.
But what's interesting to me, Dr. Weisman, what's really interesting to me is that you actually sat down with Cicely Saunders when she came here to this country. She came by way of Boston.
Oh, yeah.
And you visited with her before she went down to visit with Florence Wald and Yale University?
Yes, we had dinner together. A couple of times. Nice lady.
Right, and that concept, I would love for you to share with our listening audience, because it was new, and people still have this fear of hospice. They feel it's like the Grim Reaper, and it's got all this bad stuff to it. And Paul and I deal with this every day. Paul has got 10 years plus experience in hospice. When we try to guide our clients to introducing the concept of hospice, invariably they don't want to go down that path because they feel like they've given up. And they don't want that care recipient to know that we're going down that path. But invariably, when they finally do, you know what they say to us? We should have listened to you. Because hospice is an incredible service that each one of us can have.
Yeah.
So I'd love for you to give us your take and your experience, because in 1970 or 1972, it was a whole new reality for our way of life here in America.
Indeed, and for the medical profession.
Absolutely.
And I think that's all been reflected through changes in medical teaching, the training of medical students. you get a different type of doctor now, as opposed to the old days of 50 years ago. And when this sort of discussion would not be entertained at all. There were doctors who were so dogmatic they couldn't even listen to themselves.
Right. What transitions have you seen since the time you spoke to Florence? What are some transitions you have seen?
Well, a different culture where in the old days I was the one who organized the first psychiatric medical consultation service at the Mass General. I say that just to locate it in time. And in order to do that, you had to make a connection with other services. And it was a rare service that welcomed your services.
Right.
And you almost had to apologize for being there as a shrink. Now it's quite different, I understand, at the Mass General. And through any communique I happen still to get, they psychiatry, consultation psychiatry is a specialty. It's respected, and members of the consultation service are members of specialty services. Transplant service will have a psychiatrist affiliated there. And when I was working, it was a rare service that suggested or wanted you on rounds that morning where you could express an opinion.
Right. Right. We've got less than a minute left, Dr. Weisman.
Oh.
And what we want to bring back is we're going to continue this conversation.
Absolutely.
And one of the things we want to talk about is how your experience led you to coach doctors to think more positively about the death and dying process. Bob, I'm going to turn it back to you. Maybe we can do a plug for Cypress HomeCare.
Well, we'll do a plug for Cypress HomeCare. As many of our listening audience know, some may not know, we're a 21-year-old home care, in-home care service agency.
Yes, we are.
Providing exceptional caregivers into the home, enabling so many of our aging adult population to maintain that sense of independence that they so desire, give them their dignity, and be able to exist independently as they want to be. And, I just want to close with the whole hospice concept, because a lot of people think it's institutional. Hospice comes into the home. It's 95, 98%. I forget what the numbers are, but you can get this deinstitutionalized care right in your home. You've got physicians, nurses, aides, social workers, spiritual caregivers. You've got counselors, therapists, and volunteers. They're a wonderful service. We got great hospices right here in our backyard. So with that, I know we're coming up on a break. Dr. Weisman, we'll finish that discussion that we had with regard to hospice and talking to doctors. But you're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. And we're going to take a break. I've got Paul Fredericks as my co-host, and I got Dr. Avery Weisman in the house. We will be right back.
For a look at the world's news. Then we're back with Money Talk. We're Money Radio 1510 and 99.3 FM.
Iraq says its military has killed the king of clubs in the deck of cards. Correspondent Atika Schubert says Izzat Ibrahim al-Duri, Saddam's number 2, is reported dead.
They can't be 100% sure until DNA tests have been conducted. We have reports now that his body has been brought to Baghdad, and they're saying they should get results within 48 hours.
Correspondent Jim Sciutto says ISIS claims it is behind a deadly car bombing outside the U.S. consulate in Erbil, Iraq.
This is an enormous coup if it is ISIS that carried out this attack. Erbil operates almost like its own country up there. It's got tremendous security run by Kurdish security forces there.
Correspondent Ed Lavandera says some people don't get it. How could Tulsa Reserve Deputy Robert Bates mistake his handgun for a taser?
The yellow taser was strapped to his chest, the small handgun on his side.
Robert Griffin The staunch Michigan Republican senator who hastened Richard Nixon's resignation has died at the age of 91. The Dow is down 299 points this hour. NASDAQ off 81. I'm Evan Haining.
All you know is the phones aren't ringing and you're not getting enough new customers to grow your business. That makes marketing your business online even more crucial. But where do you start? Who can you turn to for sound advice on implementing a marketing program that works? You need YP. YP is the largest marketing agency for small business in America. Starting as the Yellow Pages over 100 years ago, YP powers local businesses with marketing services ranging from web design to search engine marketing. You're the expert in your business, but you don't have to be the expert in online marketing. YP can do that. And they're giving you a free online business listing, an essential first step to having customers find you. 80 million potential customers visit YP.com and the YP app each month. And if you're not there, they can't find you. Discover the power that is YP. Claim your free listing and have customers find your business today. Visit myfreeyp.com. myfreeyp.com. myfreeyp.com.
When people want to talk about money, they get their talking points right where you are now. Money Radio 1510 AM and 99.3 FM.
Hello, I'm Jim Gentrup, Principal Partner with Valvista Capital Management. At Valvista, we focus on small company stocks. We offer our clients over 25 years of research and portfolio management experience. Our clients, many of whom are high net worth investors and lead busy lives, entrust Valvista Capital Management to create additional wealth through small company stocks. In addition, the principals at Valvista Capital Management, unlike many money managers, have a significant portion of their assets invested alongside our clients. You should invest too, so call today at 480-646-4537. Our goal is to create long-term value and a trust-based relationship with our clients. Learn today how you can successfully invest in small company stocks with reduced volatility by calling Valvista Capital Management. The number again to call is 480-646-4537. That's 480-646-4537. You can also learn more at www.valvistacm.com. That's www.valvistacm.com.
Andrews Law, the go-to lawyers for your business and entertainment law needs. Whether you're a soon-to-be business owner, an artist, or an experienced deal maker, you'll probably come across a contract or two in your career. For most people, contracts can be confusing, frustrating, or just plain ineffective. The last thing your new music deal, purchase agreement, or real estate contract needs is miscommunication or a jumble of legal jargon. At Andrews Law, we cut through all the fluff and produce work that is professional, easy to understand, and rock solid. So, don't just scan the internet for templates. That free contract you download today might just cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars tomorrow. Get the job done right from the start with Andrews Law. We're the go-to lawyers for all your contract and copyright needs. Call us today. Don't wait. Dial 888-955-9111. That's 888-955-9111.
Kubota, driven by perfectionists. Get some perfection in your world with compact tractors, zero-turn mowers, and diesel utility vehicles from Kubota. Find your local Kubota dealer at Kubota.com.
I'm Frank Miller with Your Money Now. Well, stocks are heading into the final hour of trading in negative territory on Wall Street. The markets have spent much of the day in the red following some news from overseas. The Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P are all down well over 1%, with the Dow down triple digits. The negative sentiment on Wall Street Friday is largely due to reports that China has lifted many of its restrictions on short selling. Regulators have reportedly expanded the amount of shares that are available to short sellers. Meanwhile, Chinese regulators will reportedly start clamping down on over-the-counter margin trading. The market's also feeling some uneasiness over the possibility of Greece exiting from the Eurozone. Reports are indicating that the country may not have enough money to repay 1 billion euros that it owes to the International Monetary Fund, which is due on May 1st. Greek officials will reportedly meet with lenders in Brussels over the weekend for a new round of discussions. That news causing weakness in European markets, with Germany and the UK in particular suffering weakness Friday. And that's Your Money Now.
We help farmers make the best use of their land, which means healthier crops, higher yields, and fewer harvesting hours, which is good news for a growing population and good news for the environment. BASF. We create chemistry.
Woo-hoo! I just scored a sweet deal on sweet tickets at ScoreBig.com.
Welcome to ScoreBig.com. Go to all the sports, concerts, and shows you want at the price you want. At ScoreBig, you save on every ticket, guaranteed. NFL, NBA, NHL, baseball, theater, and concert tickets, and more. All up to 60% off box office price. Plus, right now, you can save an extra $20 on already low prices. Just go to ScoreBig.com today and enter promo code 8000. ScoreBig.com, code 8000.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. My name is Bob Roth, and you're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. We're a weekly show found right here on Money Radio, 1510 AM, 99.3 FM. If you missed the first two segments of our show today, you can catch them up on our website at cypresshomecare.com. You know, I've got a guest host here with me, a co-host, if you would. I've got Paul Fredericks in the house. And, Paul, I'm going to let you drive. You're in charge of this segment.
Oh, wow. Thanks, Bob.
So, you know what? We were talking about hospice, and we were talking about Dr. Weisman and what he does in terms of educating physicians. So please take over the reins.
Well, just a quick bio. We came back from a hard break, and Dr. Weisman is a wonderful educator. He has been part of Mass General. He has been on the staff of Harvard University. You could say he's a Renaissance man, if in one sense of the word. And it's just a treat to have you in our presence in the studio today, Dr. Weisman. Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We want to go back to what we were talking about prior to the break on hospice. You were coming into the field of psychiatry when it was not socially or medically accepted. You had to overcome that hurdle and then overcome another hurdle when it came to thanatology, the study of death and dying. And when you broke into the medical field, how did you overcome those hurdles, both as a professional, but also your subject matter? Would you like to talk about that a little bit more?
Well, in the first place, you're never sure you've overcome it, and one is by demonstration, and not everybody learns the lesson, nor are psychiatrists necessarily the best people to give that lesson. There are many specialties involved in care of being alive.
Right.
And that includes the phase of life that one anticipates prior to death. And if you're always concerned about death and dying, you have no time left to live.
Exactly. That's a great line.
That has to be kept very definitely in mind. Now, I did not descend full-grown into the field of psychiatry. I had a professional life before then. And you must understand that you deal with what you're willing to be responsible for.
Correct.
And that's why right throughout the hospice movement, we're dealing with lives that people are willing to be responsible for.
Now, we just passed a significant date in our country called Healthcare Decision Days. And it's a time for people to reflect upon what would they want to happen if they were unable to speak for themselves regarding their medical care. Delineate for us what's important to consider when an individual is filling out those forms or considering what they want. What's important?
The important thing is the concept of choice. your choices may be very limited, but even a bad choice is better than no choice at all, you might say. And what makes a bad choice? Maybe there are good choices, so long as it's not thrust upon you.
Right.
Now, that's something I would have a distinct feeling about, because independence and autonomy has been a concept that I've followed or tried to follow in my own life in general. So it's natural to want to carry it into the room where prospectively I'll be dying.
Right.
And you don't separate the two. You've always got yourself. So the concept of a good death, I think, is basic. Signing a living will is the beginning, and that's what lawyers insist on, and otherwise it's ignored.
Right.
The people at emergency medical treatment come into a home, and where somebody may be gravely ill, and one of the early things they look for, advance directive.
That orange form on the refrigerator or some
Exactly.
conspicuous place. Now, off the air, during the break, we talked about one of the most important decisions about healthcare decisions is the person who's going to speak for you in the event that you cannot. Would you care to talk about that, what we call a medical power of attorney?
Yes.
Please talk to the audience about that.
The medical power of attorney is a legality that appoints or designates someone who can make significant decisions for you. Presumably it should be someone who knows you, knows you reasonably well, and is able to distinguish his own wishes from what your wish would be. And you make concessions to that and be able to discuss it openly. And I think that that's one of the prerequisites to have an open discussion, which is very difficult. As people often say, what should we talk about when you're in the face of someone who's dying? Well, you're asking the wrong question.
You know, it's interesting because I've talked about it here on our show, about having the conversation with family members. And I wrote a piece that appeared in the Jewish News about a month and a half ago talking about this very subject, that families need to sit down. And I'm talking about the adult children need to sit down with their parents and find out what their wishes are. And I will tell you, I got a really lovely note from somebody that's near and dear to you, and that's how you and I met, was from your nephew, Michael Dean. And he said to me the following. He says, I enjoyed your informative and high-impact article in the Jewish News regarding the conversation. We have had this conversation ongoing with our uncle, Dr. Avery Weisman, and has been most beneficial to all of us.
Including me.
I'm sorry, what's that?
Including me.
Including you, exactly. Exactly. Having you participate in that.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to tell our listening audience, is that conversation needs to happen between the children, or in this case, the nephew and the uncle, so that their wishes can be followed through on.
Exactly.
And with that, I know we're coming up on a break, so I will pick up on this discussion when we come back, but if you're just listening in, I've got Dr. Avery Weisman in the house, in our studio, and I've got my co-host today, Paul Fredericks, and you're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You, and we're talking about advanced directives. We're talking about national advanced directives, or National Healthcare Planning Day, which was yesterday, and we're talking to Dr. Weisman about death and dying with dignity, and a terminology that I never even knew about, thanatologists, which is the study of death.
The money talk you love, still on 1510 AM, and now 99.3 FM.
Retire and stay retired, safe, smart, and secure. How can you potentially avoid future losses in the stock market like the ones we've experienced in 2000, 2001, 2002, and 2008? Call Anil Vanzarani and Secured Financial Solutions at 800-957-5604, extension 200, and learn about active money managers that had positive returns in those years. Listen to Anil Vanzarani on the Money Radio Show every Tuesday at 1 p.m. and Thursdays at 9 a.m. to learn about the concept of the principal protected low-cost new generation annuity and why it's superior in most cases than the high-risk, high-fee variable annuity and the obsolete hybrid income annuity. Call Anil Vanzarani and Secured Financial Solutions at 800-957-5604, extension 200, to set up your complimentary strategy session. Or go online at www.theripa.com. How strong and stable are the vital signs of your financial institution? Learn about the Comdex rating score of your insurance company that your banker, broker, and insurance agent may not want you to know. Listen to Anil Vanzarani and On the Money every Tuesday at 1 p.m. and Thursdays at 9 a.m. or give him a call at 800-957-5604, extension 200, to set up your complimentary strategy session today. You can also go online to www.theripa.com. That's THERIPA.com. Let Anil help you set up your secure retirement today. Don't wait. Call 800-957-5604, extension 200. Retire and stay retired. Safe, smart, and secure. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Read the prospectus for risk, fees, and charges. Investment advisory services offered through Brookstone Capital Management, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
Kubota, driven by perfectionists. Get some perfection in your world with compact tractors, zero-turn mowers, and diesel utility vehicles from Kubota. Find your local Kubota dealer at Kubota.com.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress HomeCare Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. My name is Bob Roth, and you're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. And we are up on our fourth segment. I want to jump right in. I've got a co-host today with Paul Fredericks, and we have got Dr. Avery Weisman in our studio today.
Bob, thanks for the microphone. And Dr. Weisman, we've been talking about your profession for most of the show, and hospice, on death and dying, making the right decisions, healthcare decisions. But people need to know also that you didn't get to be where you're at by focusing on death and dying your whole life. Although you have spent a good portion of your life in thanatology, you're focused on living. You are living life to the fullest as an individual, and you've made those decisions to stay there and maintain your lifestyle there. Talk about that. What are those decisions that you've made?
Well, the decisions that you make are part of your life in general. Decisions that you can be aware of and what enters into it, what you consider possible, and what you at the time predict about the future. And it's like definitions of wisdom. You can have all sorts of notions about it until it comes right down to predicting what are some of the important decisions in your life. And that you get the retrospectoscope there to see what those have been and probably correct for it. That you make mistakes, there's no question about it.
Right.
Has very little to do with death and dying and more to do with a decision you could live with.
Now, Bob and I have both been in your home, lovely home. You're living independently. Yes. With some special folks who come in every day.
Absolutely.
And keep you independent. Talk about those folks.
Well, what I say is it's very easy to be self-reliant, provided you're surrounded by caregivers. And I am happily surrounded at the moment by an excellent team, and that provides the very best that I can conceive of, considering the limitations that I have. There are a number of things I once did without thinking, I can no longer do.
But you're not limited in your lifestyle. You're not limited in your mindset. You have only begun to reach your capacity, I think, because it's your independence that allows you to stay in your home. You have caregivers from Home Watch Caregivers, the company, and also from us, Cypress HomeCare Solutions.
And in addition, he's got a quarterback, and Mary Hughes, who is overseeing your care and making sure you are being taken care of appropriately.
Sure, and I don't minimize the fact that I'm in the minority, not only in being an oldie, but in being able to afford the privileges that come, that I could have a limited independence. What I would do if I had more, I don't know. But I could discuss it with someone. And I know, for example, driving a car, we had a big discussion of whether I could still drive a car before I filed my own minority report.
And how long did you drive till? What age did you stop driving?
What age was it?
99.
99
See,
years
100
old.
years old, when you're about to turn 100, it gives you pause. And driving, I was driving since I was 10 years old. And even now, if I see a nice car, there's a small part of me that say, I'd like to look into that. That's about as close as I'd get, because I couldn't possibly drive now.
But even at 99 years old, when you gave up driving, whether you're 79 or 99, it's something that Paul and I deal with when we're talking to our clients. It's a big thing, giving up that independence.
Oh, yes.
It's a really big deal. And you know what? We have to often sit down with those families and help them understand that mom or dad or your aunt or uncle or grandma and grandpa, they really shouldn't be behind the wheel any longer. And that is a difficult thing. And I'm making the assumption, because you and I have gotten a chance to get to know one another today and previously, you probably made that decision, or did you have some help in making it?
I had a lot of help. I took a test.
You took a test?
At a driving school independently. Passed it swimmingly. Didn't help me make a decision.
So you passed the test, but you but you still said, you know what, I'm done. You hung up the keys and said, I'm not driving anymore.
Sooner or later, I realized that I had to make a choice.
Right.
And my choices were narrowing, and I think that I recognized it when I was driving, that it wasn't that I was making a choice about breaking a traffic law or something, or going through a red light or whatever. It was standing at a traffic stop and suddenly feeling my energy desert me.
Wow.
I knew I was in trouble.
That's
potentially even more.
Right.
At that point, I began to listen to people.
Okay, you said you've been driving since you were 10 years old.
Yeah.
So the guy in me that I am, I want to know, what was your first car?
My first car wasn't at 10 years old. I waited till I was 13. And then I had a Chevrolet. I had a 26 Chevy Roadster.
1926 Chevy Roadster.
Yeah,
nice.
A great car. And
got about 8 miles to the gallon, I bet.
You got 8 gallons to the dollar.
8 gallons to the dollar. Touche.
And that was my first car. But I have favorite cars, and I always enjoyed them. I tried when I could pick them out, and I always enjoyed them. And I guess my favorite was a 1956 classic T-Bird.
Nice.
And
with the opera windows.
With the opera windows. Yeah. But after 13 years, I was forced to recognize that Boston winters and for T-Birds weren't compatible.
We've just got a few minutes left, Dr. Weisman.
Yeah.
Talk to the listener out there on the radio. Give them some good advice. What would you want them focusing on to live life to the fullest?
Well, I don't know what the fullest would be, but we're dealing with limitations, and I say that clarity and the problem you're trying to cope with is the big thing, and making a decision that you can live with, helping you to become the person you could be responsible for. These are impossible goals in a way, but something worth aiming at. And living life to the fullest, I'm afraid, speaking for myself, is something that other people maybe could do. I never have known what that would mean. You live with what you have.
Right. Exactly.
And you have.
And you've been an extraordinary guest today, and I want to thank you, Dr. Weisman, for being on our show.
Yeah.
And I want to invite you back, and Mary, I want to invite you back as well.
Thank you.
Mary's in the background. She truly is the quarterback of Dr. Weisman's health care and overall care.
Indeed.
And I really, really appreciate you, Mary Hughes, for being here in the studio with us. Paul Fredericks, thank you for co-hosting with me today.
My honor, Bob.
And we're going to say so long. Make it a great day. Make it a great weekend. You're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. It's been a great show. Thank you, Dr. Weisman.
Thank you very much.
There's no place like home. You've been listening to Bob Roth's Health Futures. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call Cypress Home Care Solutions at 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Or visit CypressHomeCare.com. Be sure to join Health Futures with Bob Roth every Friday at noon, right here on Money Radio 1510 and 99.3 FM.
Mondays are the most profitable day of the week. When you listen to Money Making Mondays with the microcap master, Evan Greenberg, Chief Investment Strategist for the Legend Cap Opportunity Fund. For more info, call Evan at 516-662-0303. That's 516-662-0303. Or email Evan at legendcapfunds.com. And tune in Mondays at 1 p.m. for Money Making Monday.
Money Radio 1510
and 99.3 FM.
Is KFNN Mesa Phoenix and K257 CD Phoenix. Playing a round of golf will never feel so good as it will when you help feed a hungry child in Arizona. Join us at the St. Mary's Golf Classic Thursday, May 7th. Dow is down 278 points, S&P is down 24, and the NASDAQ is now down 76 points.
Just ahead, Money Radio brings you the latest news, business news, Arizona business news, the weather and traffic. And it all starts right